Please take your seats so we can get started again. Thank you so much. The next up on our agenda is to hear from system-wide HR and then shared services, which is the RASC, in response to the JBC report. But before they begin, I wanted to introduce our new Vice President of System-Wide Human Resources, Diana Henderson. Diana is a seasoned HR professional with deep expertise and a reputation for stakeholder engagement, collaboration, and steady leadership. She has more than 15 years of UC experience, most recently as the Deputy Chief HR Officer and Chief of Staff to the former Vice President Cheryl Lloyd. I know I speak for all of us in welcoming her and congratulating her on her new assignment. Diana?
Hello, and thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to be in front of this group. I want to acknowledge the important role that both organizations, CUCSA and CUCEA, actually play and are essential to the work that we are currently doing across the system as it relates to the retirees and staff. I also want to recognize the benefits team along with well, Calvin, and since I know he's not here today, but the team that is here, Bill and everyone, and our colleagues. Sorry, I'm a little preoccupied. I had a call earlier today, so it's nice to be here to talk about something other than another difficult issue, but where nobody was happy with anything I was saying on the call. So, that might be true here in some cases, but hopefully we can find some common ground. But I also want to take a minute. I know that I missed the recognition for former Vice President Cheryl Lloyd. We had connected earlier today. And so it's nice that you were able to do that. And I know that she's really appreciated, and I miss her partnership. Basically, at this point, I know we were going to talk about some issues that were raised in the JBC, which we've gone over an overview of that already. And what I would just highlight is that we actually have a shared goal in making this a productive and effective forum. And to support that, I think it helps to keep our discussions focused, constructive, and grounded in broader issues. And the value of this group comes from bringing forward informed perspectives in a way that reflects the communities that you actually represent across the system. I think we also aim to keep our communication coordinated and transparent, working through the established channels so information is shared consistently and the group has a common understanding. I think that helps ensure alignment and clarity as issues move forward and helps avoid some of the fragmentation that can occur when information is conveyed. I would say at this time, from our side, we're definitely committed to listening. All the input is considered thoughtfully, and we will also work to provide clarity on how decisions are made and how feedback is taken into account. Ultimately, our goal is to be useful, focused, and effective, and continue the partnership that's been developed, which I have to say is very valued for us. It helps us figure out what we're doing right, what we need to work on, and where we need to go. And we appreciate the suggestions and the thoughtful things that you put into the report, as into our daily interactions about ideas of how we can make it a better experience for everyone, including the retirees. So with that, I will sort of pause, and I'm going to ask Heather McHugh, who is the director of the Benefits Administration team, to come up and give an overview and/or update on the RFP with the Medicare Advantage and the return to active duty. So thank you very much, and I look forward to talking more with you guys.
Okay, we're going to get some slides going here. And actually, Susan, who's dialed in virtually, is going to do the update on the RFP. And then we'll circle back around on some of the JBC report responses, both from the benefits team and then from the shared services team. Okay, I gotta see if I can make it move there. Okay, that's where, okay. Susan, can you see the slide?
I can. Thank you, Heather.
And we can hear you, so take it away.
All right. Thanks. Hi, everyone. It's me again. Um, as many of you are aware, we're currently in the process of a Medicare Advantage RFP. And this RFP has a few prongs. Of course, one is status quo, looking at the UC Medicare Choice Plan. In addition to that, we're also considering or exploring the feasibility, if you will, of offering or expanding this plan to out-of-state retirees. So in the process where we are now, we just completed the written responses and compiled the score sheets for that. We've identified who the finalists will be for interview, and that actually will occur next week. So once we complete the finalist interviews, then the committee will submit their score sheets for that piece, and we will identify who the awardee. But before we actually assign the awardee, what we'll do is share the findings along with recommendations to senior leadership for their review and approval. So we are on schedule, and things are going well so far. Any questions at this point? I heard background noise, but I couldn't tell if that was a question.
There was feedback on the Zoom chat that folks can't see the slide. So could we have the folks who are online give us a thumbs up if they can see the slide? Okay. All right, we're seeing some thumbs.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, I wanted to
I think
just
there's
recognize.
one. Hold on, we're gonna get
Okay.
him. We're gonna get him a mic, Susan. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Hey,
Well,
Susan.
while you're waiting, yes, go ahead.
Hey, Susan, John Meyer. Could you just remind us who the current members of the Executive Advisory Steering Committee are?
I don't think we typically state that, but the positions are the COO, the CFO, the Chief of Staff to the President, a representative or the executive VP of UC Health, and a representative from Academic Senate.
And do we know who the representative of the Academic Senate is?
At this point in time, I think there is going to be a transition, but I do not know who that person is.
Rick Cronin is her.
Okay.
And we're still right now working with the Senate on is her.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
One more question. Let's hold on for the mic so folks online can hear.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So is this an advantage plan that's going to be added to what is currently offered or in lieu of the other advantage plans that already exist?
This would be to replace the administrator for the UC Medicare Choice Plan that's currently administered by United Healthcare. The contract has expired, and as you, for those who are familiar with our plans, the UC Medicare Choice Plan has increased significantly year over year the last few years.
Quick question, what does go live on January 1st, 2027 mean?
What it means is if we have an awardee, that person will be implementing the remainder of this year, and it should be going live effective 1/1/27. So if, for example, we identify a new vendor or supplier, that supplier would become effective 1/1/27.
Okay. Oh, one more question.
Susan, Jim Delgonis, can you say anything about the out-of-state eligibility?
Um, are you talking about the feasibility of offering this plan to out-of-state retirees?
Yes.
Um, and the short answer is no, because this RFP, it remains live and in progress. It's all confidential at this point.
Any other questions for Susan?
If I could just say one thing before we transition back to you, Heather, I just wanted to recognize the representatives from CUCRA and CUCEA. We have from CUCEA, Barbara Parker, and from CUCRA, Frank Truba. Thank you so much. They've been fully engaged, providing good insight and great comments. So really appreciate their partnership.
All right, great. Thank you, Susan. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the rehired retirees. I think I'll kind of merge the items in the JBC report, the RTAD item, and then an update on how we're going to handle our rehired retirees for this coming retirement season. So if you don't mind me kind of merging those two together. So last year, we had to revise our benefits eligibility policy for our rehired retirees and academics returning to active duty in order to ensure compliance with federal regulations. The changes were not easy. They're very complex. It's very difficult to understand, how these changes affect someone when they return to work or return to when they're recalled academics. And a lack of understanding can have pretty serious consequences of loss of your retiree medical insurance if you don't understand what could happen as you go into this. So I'm going to share more about our communications plan that we're going to roll out this year in a couple of slides here. But first, I want to say that, we have heard the feedback both in the JBC report and from various other sources, other retiree groups and retirees themselves. And all of the partners working on this, whether it's RASC, UC Path, our benefits team, UCOP, we're all committed to resolving these issues as they come up. Relative to the number of rehired retirees that we have, the number of issues have been pretty small, but we know that anytime there's an issue with any individual, it's very stressful and inconvenient for them to have to figure out how to solve that. And so we've heard the feedback. We want to make this as smooth an experience as we possibly can for our recalled academics and rehired retirees. So in response to that and the request in the JBC report, Shared Services is creating a task force that Benefits will also be participating in to really look at that workflow and how well it's working and what we can do to smooth that experience and help resolve as quickly as possible any issues that do come up to best support those rehired retirees and recalled academics. I don't know if we have Calvin on the line or anyone else from Shared Services, if there's anything else you want to add to that part about creating that work group. I didn't see Calvin up there, but okay. I wanted to also give you some data on our rehired retirees and recalled academics. So from our last retirement season, so July through September of last year, we had about a little over 200 people who became eligible for faculty staff benefits upon their rehire. And also in that period, a few more, about 274 who were recalls and did not become eligible for faculty staff benefits or have to make any changes to their retiree health benefits. And then since that time, so kind of the interim period between the retirement seasons, There have been a little over 1,400 total appointments of rehired retirees and recalled academics, most of those being extensions of existing appointments. New ones that became eligible for faculty staff benefits were 119. During that time, the outreach to the RAS for those one-on-one appointments were pretty low, only about 18 related to rehired retirees. And our attendees at our live webinars have been pretty low. We took a little hiatus January and February on those monthly live webinars, and now we've picked them up again. We'll be doing them monthly starting last month. But you can see the numbers are pretty low. We are sending out an email to all prospective retirees tomorrow. So I'm hoping that our live webinar, which will be the second Friday of May, will have some more attendees. So let me talk about the communication plan. Actually, I'm going to jump to the next slide and then I'll come back to that one. So last year we did a pretty broad communication plan to using every avenue that we could think of to get the word out about our policy change. So we had emails to all the new retirees. We had articles in the staff newsletter, UC Network, in the retiree newsletter, New Dimensions, just in case there's a retiree out there who are already retired who plan to come back. We have dedicated pages on UCNet, very detailed FAQs, links to recordings of the webinars, et cetera.
Right.
And also we have live opportunities for education. The monthly rehired retiree benefits eligibility webinar that I just mentioned, there's a member of my team who presents that live second Friday of every month, goes through all the policy changes and how it will affect people. It's a great resource. Encourage everyone to jump on that or recommend to your fellows to do that if they plan to come back to work. RASC has weekly Medicare office hours and a monthly retirement webinar. We heard Cheryl say that the retirement counselors are asking that question, are you planning to come back to work, so that they can direct people to these resources. And we have one-on-one meetings available from the insurance liaisons within RASC as well. As Joel mentioned, one of the really big challenges of this whole thing is how do the people who are out in the departments who are doing these appointments, the hiring managers, how do they know about these implications and what to tell the retirees that they are rehiring? There's an administrative training that UC RAF created last year, which is great. It's a really great training. Tells everything that a hiring manager needs to know, and it tells the person in their department who's the UC Path transactor, who's actually entering that appointment into UC Path, how to do it correctly so there's no downstream implications. Getting the word out about that training has been challenging. We did send emails to the 1,700 UC Path transactors across the system, but we know that some departments, they're only doing one of these a year, one of these every couple years. And so it's not going to be in the forefront of their mind that this could be an issue that they need to pay attention to. So we are partnering with, and here I'll go back to the previous slide. We are taking some additional steps this year to help get that word out. We're partnering with system-wide academic personnel to encourage their local academic personnel offices to coordinate when they've got a rehiree with payroll, with benefits, really trying to get the word out through the shared services centers at the locations, et cetera, about what they need to be aware of when they're bringing back a rehired retiree. We created a flyer, and that was sent out to the local academic personnel offices to share with across their departments for the hiring managers. Here's what you need to be aware of. Also a flyer for prospective retirees. And here's your resources of how you can learn more about how this is going to work. System-wide academic personnel is also going to help us promote the training campaign for that administrative training I mentioned. And my team will be going and providing refresher trainings at the academic personnel and workforce administration communities of interest, which are groups that UC Path coordinates with lots of administrators who will benefit from this education. And also UC Path is strengthening their job aids about the benefits implications of these transactions for the UC Path transactors to be aware of. And if there's any other avenues that people can think of how we can get the word out about this, I'm all ears because we want to make sure that this people are aware of this and how it's going to work or what they need to know if they're bringing back a retiree. I think that was the slides. Actually, I'll go back. I've got one more slide in here. There was a question that came up in the JBC report. I'll just do this one and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues in shared services to talk about the other items in the JBC report. There was an item in the JBC report about Joel mentioned it earlier, about the without salary appointments. And there were kind of several questions that fell into that bucket. One had to do with workers' compensation eligibility and employment liability, and how are people without salary appointments protected? That question we have sent to the workers' comp folks in risk services, because that's really their area of expertise, not my area of expertise within benefits. There was another question about support services for Emeriti. When did they get an email account? Do they have to have an Emeriti WS appointment to get an email account or to get support with that? I've sent that to system-wide academic personnel. And then there was one question in there that does pertain to benefits that I will answer, which is, are retirees with a without salary appointment eligible for disability insurance? And if a retiree is rehired into a 0% FTE appointment and they have no pay, and they are determined under our new policy to be eligible for faculty staff benefits, they would not be eligible for the disability plans. That's the voluntary short-term and long-term disability plans if they have a no salary appointment, because those plans are designed to replace lost income due to disability, and there is no income to replace in that situation. So that's the answer to that question. Any questions for me about anything I've said? Yes.
Yeah, thank you for this very much. It sounds like on the RTAD counseling, your sort of basic assumption is that you're going to try to reach prospective retirees, and then the thing that actually makes this happen is going to be the 1700 UC path people who put stuff into path. And have you thought at all about some structure where you wouldn't have to guarantee that all 1700 of those people were educated, but that somehow they were automatically directed to, a smaller number of people who actually do understand all the rules for it?
Yes, that is the request in the JVC report, and that is what the work group that I mentioned, that between shared services and benefits programs, is going to look at, whether that is a feasible proposition, and if so, how would that happen? And if not feasible, how would we work otherwise around that?
Thank you.
Good.
Hi. In this particular slide you have up, there's a fairly categorical thing that if it's 0% recall or no pay recall, you don't get disability. So it's a fairly simple story. It's either you do or you don't, and in this case, you don't. And I'm wondering if there are some other outside parameters. When this issue first came up, what was happening, at least on this campus, UCLA, was people were being recalled 1 month after they had retired. And we were told, no, it can't be that. It's got to be 6 months. And so I'm just wondering if you can, do you have a simple rule, like if you're not planning to come back within 6 months, you don't have to worry about all this? Or, is there something like that? It used to be also there was a number like 40%. You weren't supposed to be recalled for more than 40% of your final salary. If you're going to be recalled for less and it's going to be more than 6 months, you don't have to worry about it. Is there some simple rule like that you could promulgate that would then obviate people from having to go through all the different variations that might
Yes.
occur within that range?
Yes. Yes, there is the simplest solution is have a 6-month gap between the date you retire and the date you return to work. If you have a 6-month gap, then you will stay in retiree health benefits. You will not be eligible for faculty staff benefits, and you will not have to give up your retiree health benefits or make any switch or change. That is the simplest solution. We know there are lots of people, though, they have grant funding for their labs. They're still working with their grad students, whatever it may be. They can't take that 6-month gap. They've got to only do the minimum bona fide separation that's required under law of 30 days, and then they need to come back to work. And for those people, that is who the policy applies to, where if you meet the eligibility criteria, which can apply even if you're less than 43% appointment, if you meet the eligibility criteria for the faculty staff benefits, you will need to come back. Your retiree health will be suspended. You will need to come back into faculty staff benefits. Joel, question.
Thank you, Heather. Looking at these slides, it occurs to me that this coming year may be even a worse year, because last year was the first year, and we got hit with roughly 200 odd people, and I think that's about right. And we can anticipate that around 200 recalls will need to do something special with their health insurance. And if I recall, after a year, they're told that they need to do something special with their health insurance again. They need to then convert to Medicare, whether it's 1 year or 18 months, or at some point, we're going to get confronted by both the newly recalled people who need to do something special, as well as the existing recalled people who've been doing something special and then need to go back to Medicare. Are we prepared for that?
Yes. Yeah. So most rehired retirees, if they continue to be appointed less than 43% time, they will become eligible to go back to retiree health after a certain amount of time. That time can vary depending on when that person was appointed and what their status was when they were first appointed, but it's typically going to be around 18 months. So we are going to see, beginning of 2027, a group of people who will lose their eligibility for faculty staff benefits. And I mean, I could give you the long explanation of how that happens, but basically it's an Affordable Care Act requirement. We measure people, how many hours they've worked. If they haven't worked a certain number of hours in a year, they lose their faculty staff benefits eligibility. That's what will apply to many of these rehired retirees. And then they will be contacted they will receive postal mail and email saying, you are now losing your faculty staff benefits eligibility. Here's what you need to do. And we already have detailed instructions and handouts that we will be sending to those people to tell them exactly what to do. They have to, get back into their retiree health. And if they've suspended Medicare, there's detailed instructions on how to unsuspend their Medicare. If they are Medicare eligible. So yes, we have all that. That process is in place. All the materials exist already, and we're waiting for that first group. We did have a few this year after the measurement period at the beginning of this year, but most of them will be next year. Any other questions for me? All right, then I will turn it over to my colleagues in shared services. Thank you.